just talk about what we're going to do, and then we're going to jump quickly into it because we know that it's a 30-minute demo. You will get a link to this demo afterwards, and it will be posted on the YouTube site for Affinity as well. So let's just get this up. So in a second, you should be able to see my computer screen, and then we will do it. Just if you don't know where the chat is, when you're on the meeting, the chat will be, I don't know why that's taking so long to do that. The chat will be here. Show conversation. You can put questions in there. If Andy and Rich can't answer them immediately, we will come to them at the end and answer them. So let's just drop down in, and we will drop out of Teams, and I will drop into here. OneDrive and SharePoint is what we're going to talk about today. I want to talk about the features of it very quickly to give you an idea of how you can use it. Welcome to the newcomers. How you can use it, what it's used for, how you can share from it, and things like that. You may well use Dropbox, you may well use Google Drive, you may well play around with OneDrive already. But basically, it's your online storage that comes as part of Microsoft 365. So there's two parts to this. You've got OneDrive and SharePoint. And if you've got a Microsoft 365 account, you have both. Your OneDrive is what is nicknamed, and I've stole this from somebody, it's nicknamed your Me Drive or your Me Cloud. And your SharePoint is your We Cloud or your Us Cloud. So OneDrive is your personal storage place. Yes, you can share out from that and synchronize with it and collaborate with people from your OneDrive, your Me space. And then, but SharePoint is your actual collaboration space where you do it among your team or even with external partners. So with OneDrive, you get every single user in your organization, you get 1 terabyte of online storage. 1 terabyte is a crazy amount of space. You're talking about millions of documents. You're talking about a couple of hundred ripped Blu-ray DVDs. Or if you think about a phone, high resolution pictures from latest Samsung or latest Apple, you're talking probably about 350,000 of those high res images that you can put in your OneDrive. OneDrive comes on your desktop, it comes on your cloud browser, any browser you go into, but they've also got a very good app for it on both Android and Apple devices. That means that you can access those documents on the move, you can load documents to it on the move, you can back up your photographs, you can take photographs straight into OneDrive. So I'm on office.com, which is where you get everything to do with your Microsoft 365. And I'm going across to, I tried to open this earlier, it didn't open so well, so let's quickly open it again. OneDrive is, as I said, your storage space. So we're going to look at some of the features of OneDrive, and then we'll very quickly look at some of the extra features that you can do from SharePoint. We do, just to give you a slight flavor of the difference, but most of the key features work whether you're working in the OneDrive environment or the SharePoint environment. And the key reason for that is, if we look at this, your OneDrive is classed as My SharePoint. So that's why we talk about the Me space, the Me Drive, the Me Cloud, and this is the We Cloud. So if you've ever used it, you know what's going on here. You've got your files, you've got recent files, that's recent files you've worked on. That's your shared files, shared in, shared out. And again, if you've worked on Dropbox or Google Drive or anything like that, if you're paying for them especially, you should make sure you move across to this. But that's shared in and shared out. Discover and recycle bin. Here's a list of all my files that are in here. So all my documents and all my folders. A quick navigation up at the top, I can create something new from the web page. A new folder, document, presentation. I can also upload to here. So if I'm logged in on any machine, not my own machine, but I'm logged in somewhere else and I want to upload, I can upload files or I can upload folders. The same idea happens on my mobile device or my tablet device. I upload straight from that device into the OneDrive, and it's available in the cloud and it's available on my desktop. You can also upload by dragging and dropping into this window. So these days with web pages, you can just drag and drop into them and the upload will take place. When you upload something, let me do it quickly. I'll upload this, I'll drop it into a new folder, and as we see, it drops, and up here we will see a little icon saying that it's uploading one item. If it's a larger item, it'll take longer. If not, it's very quick. Here's a button that's key. If you're working in a corporate environment, this might already be done for all your machines. If you're working in your home environment and or a new machine, you would press the sync. Now, mine's already done, but I'm going to press it anyway. You get this message up and we hit open. And then if it's your first time using OneDrive, it will make sure that you're using the OneDrive for Business app, which we'll show you later on in this video. It will then bring you through the process of logging in and putting your password in. And once that's happened, Microsoft will then take a copy of all of those files and folders and put it on your desktop in your File Explorer. So this is an exact carbon copy of my web page. So apps, Microsoft Teams chat files, Microsoft Teams data, apps, Microsoft Teams chat files, Microsoft Teams data. So this means I can work from my desktop. I can open files from here, I can save files to here, I can store files here, I can upload, I can do all that sort of stuff. It means that now we've got a connection going between my computer and OneDrive in the cloud stored in Microsoft servers, and then, for example, to my phone. So that all connects. I can put documents into here and they're immediately uploaded to the OneDrive. And that means I can collaborate, I can store, I can back up. You still need a proper backup solution for your corporate documents, but you can store stuff in the cloud and back it up and not have everything on your computer. So here we go. Let's drop back into the web page a second. Let's show you some of the key features. If we've got, say, one of the previous demos that we've done, I shared those with Rich before. If you haven't got any of these demos, you can look on the YouTube site. We can do things like share, download, delete, rename, automate, which is the Power Automate one. You can move, you can copy. All of those things exist. This is a menu along the top. You can open documents within your web page. So if you need to, and somebody sends you a link, you can actually open it in your mobile device. You can open it on the web page. You can open it in the desktop. So up here on a document or an Excel or anything like that, you get the option to open in the app if it's installed, or open in your browser and then edit it there. The browser environment is not as good as your desktop apps, but it's improving all the time. And if you need to check a document or do a quick edit, it auto saves. Here's also the same menu. So in any document or folder, you get the exact same menu here: open, preview, share, copy, manage access, download, etc. We're going to have a look at the share button. I know we've only got 30 minutes, so that's why we're moving through this fast. This is how you securely share documents. There's a reason why you want to share rather than sending attachments all the time. There's two key reasons. First reason is if you share, everybody gets the same copy of the document. They can all work on the same. You can collaborate together. Any changes are automatically updated. Nobody's missed out of the loop on these emails where you've got group emails going on. And obviously with a folder, you can put new documents in there and everyone gets to see those new documents. Somebody at the other end, a client or a colleague, can upload their own documents into that folder. And again, you get to see them immediately. In fact, if you've got a folder shared out from your OneDrive and people add documents into that folder, you get a notification on your desktop that 3 files have been added. And I'll show you where that notification comes in a second. This is a share. So what you can do is, depending on your organization, some of these links may be turned off. This one here can be turned off in a lot of organizations. That one there can be, technically, it can be a bit insecure, because what you're saying is anyone with this link can view this document. Now that's great for marketing materials, PDF of your brochure, anything like that. It's not so good if it's private information. And historically people use that because logging into a Microsoft account to view one of these documents was difficult. And again, we'll speak about how if somebody doesn't have a Microsoft account, what they see in a few minutes. If you are doing anyone with this link, you can set an expiration date. So you can say anyone with this link, it's only valid for the next week, and then it automatically closes that link. You can also set a password. So that password, so again, it increases the security a bit. And finally, if you don't allow editing, it becomes read-only and you can block download. That stops them downloading it from the web page. However, obviously you could take a screenshot, so it's not full secure. So that's one of the options. I don't use it as much. I use it occasionally for sending these videos to Rich. He's got them for about a week before the link automatically stops. People in your organization. So this is quite a good one if you've got something like a policy, a procedure, and it just means anyone in the organization with the link. So you can put the link in an email, and if they're inside your organization, they can automatically open it and view it. Anyone outside your organization can't. People with existing access. The reason you may use this is, have you ever done those occasions where you say, hey, I've updated the document, and everybody says, where's it stored? Well, this allows you to remind people where it's stored with the update. And finally, we've got the option of specific people. And specific people is the list of people that you do. And again, you can allow editing and you can block download. So you can do that here. So we're going to go for specific people. And I'm just going to type in Andy's name. You come up, you type in a full email address. If it's on your list already, I'm going to type in another one. 2 Andys here, because this one now tells me that this person is outside my organization. We can put a message here. When it delivers it to the client or to the person, it says Microsoft on behalf of Viv Brownlee is sending you an email. You can send it through your Outlook. So I'm just going to hit the send button. Oh, well, in a minute. The other way of doing it is creating a link and copying it. Now, I personally like this method the most. The reason I like this method the most is that I can then craft an email. And let's quickly do that. So if I craft an email, I'll open my Outlook, I can paste that link into the email. So I can put in something like, hey, here's the information that we're doing it by link. If you just open this up and update the document, and then I can put my signature at the bottom of the email as well. So I think it's a little bit less spammy. All of the methods work the same, but I do find that method is a little less spammy, if you want to call it, because people get, oh, what's this coming from Microsoft about? While that's opening, and then I will paste the link in a second, there's a few other features. Obviously, if you do a folder, as I said, then everything in that folder can be shared out and shared back in. That's great. But there's another thing that we can do with it now. Microsoft have recently allowed you to do this. And don't know why the option. Oh yeah, that's because there's 2 things selected. So if you select 2 things, you have to unselect one of them. So let's unselect that. I choose new folder. There's going to be an option come up in this top bar, which is request files. Now this is a key one that I think as well. With request, I'll come back to that. Let's hit the new here, new email, and I paste the link in and hit enter. And it actually changes that link into what the name of the document is. It's working at the minute. So I can say, here's a document. So they've actually turned it, instead of just being a big web link, which looked horrible, they've actually turned it into a little icon and a link. So that's really useful at the minute. Request files. If I put in, say, for example, I'm asking for people's IDs, I'm asking for scans of something, I'm asking for applications for something, graphics, applications, proposals. Instead of setting up an individual folder for every submission that you're going to get, you create a folder, you give it a name, and then when we do that, we can send the name and the folder out to anybody. So anyone with this link can do it. So if I copy that link and go to an email, I could then say, here's the folder, please upload files to this folder, and then they'll come back to you. So what happens with that is, you send this out, they click on it, they load the files into that folder, and it closes automatically. They get the option to send a message with it, but they can't access it again. They can't see if anybody else has added folders to it or files to it. So it's secure for both their end, and you set up one folder at your end. Microsoft have also recently upped it that you can actually put up to 100 gigabyte files uploaded and downloaded from your OneDrive. So that's large videos and everything. Very quickly then, let's drop to the desktop, because the thing is, that's great, we're on the web page, but what if I'm working from my desktop? I don't want to always have to log into that web page to do that sort of work. So if I go here, I right click on it, and remember, right click is your friend anywhere that you're in Windows, but if I right click on it, I get my option to share from here. And this share button on the desktop looks exactly the same as a share button in the web page. So we get it from there. Block download, anyone with the link, set a password, set an expiration date. So this is rather useful here as well. You can do that for folders, or you can do that for files. We'll talk about managing access in a second. When we're here, let's just notice these little icons. You've got icons that are blue cloud, you've got a green tick icon, and then if I take this one and I right click and I make available on this device, I will get a solid green tick icon. Now these mean something. When Microsoft downloads all the files to your desktop, they only download the titles. So the title of the file, the title of the folder, so it doesn't take up too much space. Most hard drives are not 1 terabyte, so if your OneDrive was full, this would be overflowing. Microsoft manages that automatically. But once you need a document, you double click on it and it downloads and opens that document. However, if you want something permanently on your machine because you need quick access to it, it's a larger file. Or if you're going on a train journey, a plane journey somewhere without much internet access, you might want to do what I've just done, and it's taking a little bit of time. And you always keep in this device. And what it does then is it downloads a full copy of them all and you get a solid green tick. If you finished with it, you can also still do the same, the opposite, free up space. And it does the opposite. It clears up the space, leaves more space in your hard drive, and you're not using that folder. So for example, a time of the year when you're needing access to finance folders all the time to do something, you can have them all on your computer. When you're finished with that project, you can clear from this device. If you're working on Outlook, we're here again, I'm going to clear those two out. When you attach a file these days, so what we do is we put that file in here and it will ask me, do I want to do it by link or attach a copy? If I share a link here, I can actually change my same permissions. Anyone can edit, anyone can view, organization can edit, etc. The exact same sort of thing as you find on the share button on the web or on your desktop. And the same applies, by the way, if I'm working on something like Word. When I'm working in Word, I can open from OneDrive, I can save to OneDrive. The same in Excel, obviously, and all of that. But it allows me to do both of those things straight to OneDrive or straight to SharePoint. So let's have a quick look at that. So if I go for open, I can shared with me, will be showing things that are shared with me either through OneDrive, SharePoint, or by email. Here's my OneDrive, here's my SharePoint. So I can look in both of those things and I can open the documents. If I do a new document and I go File Save As or open a document, I can choose where to save it to, and I can save it to my OneDrive or I can save it to my SharePoint. Let's have a quick look at open because I want to show you one more button in here. Let's click this button. We're opening a file. Because it's in OneDrive, it's auto-saving. Every time you make a change to it, it saves. So please be aware that if you do want to make a new version of it, so you're sitting in October and you want to update September's data with October's data, first thing you do is do a file, save a copy to save a new one. Now, there is a version history, which I'll show you in a second, which if you overwrite it, you can fix that by recovering the version history. But that means autosave is on. If I press this share button, you should recognize this window. This is the exact same window as I see on the web page, pretty much, and on the desktop, and allows me to share directly from my Word or my Excel. I don't have to go and attach and do this, that, and the other. I can open it in Outlook, I can copy a link, or I can even send it as a PDF or Word copy from here. So that's all those bits. Managing access, I can see that this is shared, so I press that button, and it actually brings me up who it's shared with. So that's shared with me on another account, and I think to myself that shouldn't be shared anymore. Excuse me. I can go into the options, I can change the type of sharing, so you may well have to go back and have a look at this in the video and then try it out yourself, or I can actually close the sharing, remove the sharing access immediately. So it is as quick as that to manage the access, or you can give more access from here. So manage access is done by clicking on the share, or under the menu you get an option to manage access. If you're on your desktop, it's a little bit more complicated, but they have added it in. So you don't have to do it from there. So if we hit share here, same window as before, these three dots is more options, and there you can manage access. So great. There's the two links that I sent earlier on to Andy and Andy, or created the link. And the same exists if you're in Word. If you're here, you can manage access. So there's no links giving access here. So if I shared, there would then be links. So anywhere you're at, you can manage the access. Version history is the other thing that's really useful. If I'm on the web page and I go to a document that I've changed or updated, so let's take this one. If I click on this, there's a button down at the bottom which calls version history. Microsoft automatically creates up to 1,000 versions of a document. So each change is versioned. So if I open a document, make changes to it and save it, it's a change and it creates a new version. If two people are working on the same document, it'll do two versions, one for them, one for me. So when I close it, it saves my version. When they close it, it saves theirs. I can go back and I can view them all. I can restore them. So if somebody accidentally overwrites something in a formula in Excel, or if somebody's grammar's terrible in a policy and you want to roll it back to a previous version, you can do so. And the same happens again on your desktop. They're bringing it all that you can work from anywhere with the same thing. You can look at a version history here. And where you do it in Word or anything else, if you've messed up this document, you've overwritten it by accident using autosave, if you click up here, there's your version history. And when you do it here, you can compare the two versions together, and it does track changes for you. So this is a really, really cool thing to have a full-on proper autosave and a full-on proper version history. So OneDrive is much more than just sharing securely documents. OneDrive is autosave, version history, this sort of idea to protect, to allow you to work better, everything like that. Just by the way, they're bringing in the next couple of months that on this web page as well, anything that if somebody shares a folder with you under your shared, you can now then pin it to here and they will sync to your desktop as well. Because at the minute, if somebody shares stuff with you, it doesn't automatically sync to your desktop. So you do have to access that through the web page. Now, if somebody gets a link from you, you shared it out, whether you use the share button, whether you use the email button, whether you use the copy button. If somebody shares out a link with you, or with someone else, if they have a Microsoft 365 account, it'll automatically log them in. If they don't, and if it's Hotmail or Outlook, that's fine. If it's been registered for an Xbox account, that's fine. But if they don't have any of those, historically, maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, you had to actually set up a Microsoft account. And that was a major issue because most people didn't know how to do it. And therefore, people would set up these either attachments or they would set up these open share links. Please don't do open share links for internal documentation. But what actually happens now is it says you've been shared. You don't have a Microsoft account. I'm paraphrasing here. Please enter the email address that it was sent to. You enter the email address, it sends a 6-digit code to your email. You take that code, paste it into the web page, and you get access to the files, the folders, or the documents. We're all used to that with banking now, or other multi-factor authentication logins, or protecting accounts. So it's much, much easier to do. One thing I forgot to do when I was here, we now have a link option here. So if I take a link option and I add that as a link, here we go. We actually immediately have the options of how I want to share it from here. And what it does automatically, it says the people that you're emailing this to will be, the recipients of this message will probably be the people that you want to have access to this document. So you can set a link instead of an attachment by default. Let me show you SharePoint, and then I want to do a final talk about a few things. SharePoint sets up sites with groups of people. So let's just quickly jump into one of these sites. The whole idea of SharePoint is it can be a kind of intranet, but the bit that we're interested in is the document libraries. These are automatic sharing places. Whoever is invited into this team, into this site, has automatically got access to all of these documents. Obviously, those security settings can be changed a little bit, but the whole idea of this is that what you do is you set up your document libraries, you put your stored shared documents in there, everybody can access them, everybody can update, everybody can load. You can invite external people into this as well. So here we go. We've got 3 document libraries in here. As you can see, this is all very similar. Add new, everything like that. As you can see, this menu is very similar. Open, pin to the top if you want that slide. Download, the same share information as well. Now, let me show you. You can sync this document library to your computer as well. So you can go through your SharePoint document libraries and sync them to your computer. So again, the difference here is that when it finishes doing it, this is your My Drive or your Me Drive, your Me Cloud, and this is your Us Cloud. So here's where your company space would be, and here's would be where your document libraries are. So again, I could save and store straight into those document libraries, and it backs them up straight to the SharePoint sites. And again, I can do it on my mobile, I can do it on a tablet, I can do it on the web page. I have access from everywhere. All changes are reflected here. One key thing that you've got different in SharePoint, obviously you've got your sharing options, then you don't have in OneDrive, and there's a reason for this. You've still got version history. You've got 2 extra little bits that are really useful. You've got a button that says alert me, and that creates an alert for you. If a document is changed, updated, you can be told about it if you're waiting for information to be put in. But you also have a checkout. And the reason for checkout is Obviously, if you're working on a OneDrive, it's your document in your document library. If you're working on a SharePoint site, it could be hundreds of people available to this. What if you need to update a large Excel database or spreadsheet with new functions, new formulas, paste stuff in, and you don't want somebody messing with it while you're doing it? Or what if, on the other hand, as an example is, what if you need to update a policy, but you don't want people to be printing the policy while you're typing it? You can check it out. It goes out to you. Everybody else sees a read-only version of the original. And then when you check it back in, they will get to see the new version. And when you check it back in, so I'm going to check it out here. When you check it back in, you get the option to write in what is your what changes were applied to it. We can see it's checked out. When I go to check it back in, we can discard checkout as well. But when we go to check it back in, type in comments, new version. And you can put the reason why. So you could even correspond this with an internal policy number or an internal versioning number. So now when I look at the version history, I will see that on my comments. So that's a pretty cool tool, even in terms of keeping a track. So this might be version number 67 with Microsoft, but it could be new version 13.6, 13.7 for you. And you can roll all these back. You can see who they were modified by, you can see the size, and it doesn't take up any more space on your machine. Lastly, I want to show you the management of it. Down here is where you get your management of your OneDrive. This is the OneDrive for Business app. And the OneDrive for Business app allows you to come here and it'll see everything that's happened recently. You can open the folder in your desktop. You can open the folder online. And under Help and Settings, you can go into your settings. So it will automatically pause your syncing. If you have got, if you're on a battery saver mode, it'll automatically pause your syncing if you are on a dongle or something like that. So here we go to settings. It automatically does all of these things. You can set up backup that it backs up your My Docs, your My Desktop, that sort of stuff. And under your account, you can choose which folders to sync. You can stop the sync. Now, the usefulness of choosing the folders is this. If you choose folders, you can choose and say, actually, those folders here, I don't need. So I don't need that one. Instead of you having hundreds of folders, you could have 3 or 4 folders that you actually use all the time. So that's an option there. So if I do that, then that will be reflected on my computer here. And the last thing I want to tell you before we come back in and answer any questions, you mightn't realize this, but if we go into here, and if I'm on a chat with Andy, and I hit the attach button, if this will catch up with me, the attach button will actually store stuff on my OneDrive and share it with them. So that's why it says OneDrive here or upload from my computer. What they are actually doing is they're bringing into Teams the same way that if you've got a group chat or an individual chat, you will be able to change the permissions to make it read only rather than edit. And when you're working on Teams itself, if you're using Teams and you look in the Teams, every time you set up one of these, you actually, with the files, you're actually setting up, each channel is actually setting up a whole, sorry if I can think of my brain, each channel is setting up an actual files. The files here is SharePoint. That's what I'm trying to say. So if I click here and hit files under general, this is my SharePoint files that I would see down here under training team under general. So if I open that, we get that. And so it uses SharePoint. So there we go, it's in SharePoint under general, the same thing. And if I go back into Teams and under here, these files are the same. So you could be using Teams to upload files, people can upload files into Teams, and those will be reflected on the SharePoint site, and those will be reflected to your desktop application. So as we see, additional folder, exercise 3, Office 365 Teams, that should be reflected here, additional folder, exercise 3, Office 365 Teams. So all of that is available on this. And there we go, we've hit 11 o'clock and I think I've covered as much as I can in the time, and I'm coming back to see if there's any other questions.
Thank you, Vic. Before you ask for any questions, I've got a little bit of a case study on OneDrive and SharePoint. We have a client that uses Dropbox, or used Dropbox, and she has 10 employees, and each employee has their own version of Dropbox. So Dropbox is a tenner a month, 120 quid a year, times 10, you can do the maths. And just by using OneDrive and SharePoint, when she's already using 365, she's saved herself over £1,000 a year just by using OneDrive and SharePoint. So, you know, that's where I think it's really helpful and really can, save you guys some money as well as a big part of what you're doing. So does anybody have any questions at all?
Nothing's been logged in the chat, Rich, so...
Anybody want to unmute and ask anything? No? Okay, no problem. Well, thank you very much, Viv. Thank you, Andy. Very useful as always.
And by the way, it's not 11 o'clock, guys. Don't worry.
Sorry,
it's 11 o'clock in Germany, where Viv is.
Yeah.